Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Crafty Christmas in July 2023 YouTube collaboration. It's an event that is hosted by Lisa from Paper Lace and Bling and Terry from Sweet Pea Papers, and there are several YouTube channels that are participating in this year's event. They are all linked in the description box below, so go ahead and check those out for different projects throughout the entire month of July that are Christmas themed. Getting into my project, we are working on a December daily traveler's notebook. So this leather cover I've showed you in a different video, and we've already started making some of our signatures. For today's video, we're going to work on spreads 3 and 4. So I have my base of my signatures here. This side is just plain. I did use a little embossing folder on this side. It's a dairy spot embossing folder that I've just used 3 times across the page and added just a little bit of an effect on the paper. So to get started with the black side, I'm going to be using a piece of the design paper that I'm going to place here. And then I'm going to place the Happy Holidays red strip up here at the top. Next, I'm going to be using this trim that was provided to us from Lisa from Paper Lace and Bling. She has her Etsy shop. It's linked in the description box below, and there's a special going on right now through the month of July that if you spend $15 worth of product before shipping and taxes, then she will provide you with a yard of lace for free, but you also have to follow her shop. So I've cut a little strip of that lace, and then I've woven a red ribbon through those little eyelets in the trim, and I'm going to make this a pocket. So I'm only going to glue down the sides and the bottom piece, and I'm going to make sure that I catch the red ribbons on the end so that it is adhered down to. So I'm going to be using my Fabri-Tac for this step. And I think I'm actually going to start first by applying my adhesive on top of my red ribbon, just a little tiny bit to hold it in place here. And then I think I'll just add a little bit at the bottom on the white, since it's at the bottom. And now I'll go ahead and add my adhesive on my sides and my bottom and adhere it to the page to make a pocket. And now that my pocket is adhered to the page, I'm just going to take one of the cut apart cards from the Graphic 45 Warm Wishes paper and tuck it right in here. Now I can tuck more things in here if I want to, but I'm just going to leave it plain for now. Coming over here to my red paper, I've got this, and I cut this last video from one of the Elizabeth Craft Designs planners. Let me see if I can find it here and I will show it to you. So it's this one. I cut this frame piece, and actually I used the cards on the inside on the last spread, but now we're going to use the frame piece itself. So I have just taken and I cut that top of the frame piece off, and I'm just going to use this. And I have a small piece of acetate that I'm going to use to create a frame here that a photo can slide behind later. So I've got my double-sided tape on the back of my piece. When I use acetate, I typically like to use double-sided tape because I have found out that glue tends to not stay adhered. Once it's dry, the whole entire acetate piece seems like it just likes to peel right off. So the double-sided tape definitely seems to work for that. One trick I've learned to place acetate on frames like this is just to peel up the corners of your pieces first, but not a whole strip, and then set this piece down first. Let it catch on one of those pieces, make sure it's in place, and then you can set it down, and then just pull your strips out to release that backing and it will be in place and it won't go crooked. I know I used to try doing this, just peeling it all off and setting it down, and it would be crooked. Sometimes you can cut it off and it's not a big deal, but I've just done this and it seems to work out much better for me. So now that I have my acetate on there, I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of white ribbon just to offset this white from the pocket. And I'm going to loop it through the holes on this piece. And I'm going to just tie a really small bow. So I do not need a lot of ribbon. I don't want it to be a really big bulky bow here. So I'm trying to keep this relatively flat if at all possible. Once I have my bow, I can go ahead and cut off that excess of ribbon. Now I have one of my little lace borders I used from Elizabeth Craft Designs. This is Annette Green's Everything's Blooming collection. I'm going to place this down here on my frame. Again, just giving it a little bit of white to kind of contrast with that white on the opposite page. I want things to sort of match. So each of the spreads, if you'll notice, they tend to, obviously they match because I'm using the same paper, but they tend to coordinate. So it's almost like I'm making little miniature scrapbook layouts here on the page. So it's really kind of neat to just do things in miniature. And if you follow my work at all, you know how much I like miniature projects. So that's why I did pick the Traveler's Notebook size instead of a full planner size to do my December daily. So I've got that. I've got my number 3 here for my spread that I'm going to put up here. And then I'm going to use a button that Lisa gave us in our goodie bag. And then I've got one of the pieces from the ephemera assortment. And I think I'm going to end up putting this something like that, but I haven't decided yet. So first I'm going to position this where I want this to be. So I know I want my 3 to be up here in the corner, but I want my little frame to go behind it. So I've got to prepare my frame first. Again, I will be using double-sided tape for this. And for this one, I'm going to go all the way to the top of the frame. Even though the acetate doesn't go up that high, I do want that part of the frame to be adhered to the page. And just like before, I'm going to prepare my piece to put down by lifting up on each of the sides. I'm going to put this on the page until I figure out where I like the look of it, what slant and all of that. I think I'm going to put it just like this. Then I'm going to press down and carefully remove my strips, pressing my frame into my paper. Okay, so now that that is down, I can go ahead and adhere my number 3 right over top on that top corner. So I've decided that I'm not going to use the button. I'm just going to add the swirl, and then I'm going to place a gemstone or a pearl over top of the end of this instead. I just didn't like the look of the button here. So I have adhesive on my die cut piece, and I'm just going to lay that down on the page. Next, I'm going to be adding my bling. So on this page, in the center of these 3 flower looking pieces, I'm going to be placing my little red gems. And then over here, I'm going to place my gems between each of these little parts of the banner piece. And one at the end. And for that, I'm going to be using my little gold metallic pearl pieces. So this is how I'm going to leave spread 3. So now we have either a photo mat or a journaling spot. More stuff can be tucked into this pocket, and then a photo can be tucked into this frame on the page. Now for the spread for day 4, we're going to be using the back of the red and coming in with the cream. First, I've got a piece of the paper here from the Warm Wishes collection that I'm just going to adhere down into the center of the page. Then I have the Merry and Bright border strip trimmed down to the same size. And I'm going to place this here on the side as a belly band, but I'm only going to adhere the top and the bottom section of it. Next, I have a piece of the Patterns and Solids in red, and I'm going to take this little tiny piece from the die cut assortment, and I'm only going to adhere this top portion up here so that the photo will slide almost all the way up underneath of it. Now I'm going to have this piece hang over the edge just slightly as well. So you will see a little bit of it from the back side. And this is meant to be a journaling card or a photo mat, whatever you would intend to do with it. And I'm going to leave it pretty plain just because the rest of the paper, this background paper, is decorative. So the photo would go here, or you could put a photo here and journal on it, however you would choose. And if you wanted to do a photo on this side, you could turn it this way, and then your journaling would be hidden whenever you have it in your book. Now on the cream colored paper, I've taken this piece, I think this was on the signature sheet, maybe, I'm not 100% sure. I fussy cut this, and I'm going to just adhere the sides and the top to create a pocket that this photo mat will tuck up underneath of. So I'm just going to add a thin line of my adhesive first, and then place this right up against the top edge of the page. And then my green photo mat from the Patterns and Solids will slide right up underneath of there. Now I have this piece from the signature sheet I'm going to use as a decorative element on the bottom of the page. So I'm just going to add my adhesive here and put it down here even with the bottom edge. Now with my photo mat, I'm going to place this decorative piece on here, and I'm going to be adding adhesive to this bottom section here in a very thin line across my piece. And then I'm going to place this right down here at the bottom. Now obviously the photo will only go to about here, but there's still plenty of room for a pretty decent sized photo. So this piece is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So technically a 3/4 photo would fit on here. You just have to trim it slightly to tuck it up underneath of there. And then I'm going to tuck this under here. And then I'm going to take my number 4 and I'm going to adhere this here to the page. Now I'm going to be really careful about how I do this. I don't want to adhere anything to my photo mat itself in the pocket. So if you're afraid of doing this and getting adhesive on that photo mat, best thing to do is just remove that photo mat from the pocket. And I'm going to apply this almost all the way at the top, and it is going to be adhered down to the bottom or to the side of the page. So it will act as a catch for that photo mat. All right, so now this should go over a little bit, but not all the way, which will stop it from falling out on the side. And we've got both of our pages with our 2 pull-out photo mats. So next I'm going to add some gems, just a couple of gems to brighten up the page. So first I'm going to add a gem into the center of this piece here. And I've decided I'm going to use my little gold half pearls. So the first one I'm going to place here. And then I want one in the center here. And I'm going to put one on each end. Now on this page, I'm going to place one in the center of each of these little snowflake images that's on the paper. And I guess there's one more right here, right beside my number 4. I'm going to just place one more there. I like to do things in odd numbers instead of even numbers. So I think that looks better. I had thought about putting them across the bottom here, but I do like that. So now I'm going to leave my spread like this. I'm not going to add anything else to it. I was thinking about adding some trim down here along the side, along this edge, but I just want this one to be pretty plain with just those decorative papers from the Warm Wishes collection. So this is spreads 3 and 4 in our little December daily. So again, don't forget to check out all of the other YouTube channels that are linked in the description box below for lots of Christmas content throughout the entire month of July. And then check back with my channel for the next video in the series where we're going to work on spreads 5 and 6. Thank you for watching and have a great day.